The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of the streaming platforms, public access channels, the Kitty Rose lifestyle, or the program underwriters.
Tim's on my feet, stomping out the negativity. Everybody not a friend of me. Spread the love, still I move deliberately. Bully face on, but the smile be heavenly. Brooklyn girls, so they love the energy. Love sincerity, so I take the liberty to take them on a journey lyrically. Through hallways and alleys.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. I am your host, Minister Kat, aka Kitty Rose. Happy summer! Finally! I believe this is Memorial Weekend. What are you guys doing this weekend? I know I'm going to BAM out here in New York, where we come out, all the black people come out for the beginning of summer. So I am so excited. So happy summer, everyone. And you came back just in time for the next episode of Quinelle's Check-In. Yes! Quinelle is back. Did you guys like her the first time? I thought she was all right. Let's see what she has to do today for the topic of the week. But I'm not going to give you that yet. I'm going to go to her little, the intro I made for her that she doesn't like, but she didn't give me no new videos. So anyway, let's go to the video of Quinelle's check-in and then come back with Quinelle. See you guys in a second. Okay, that's how we come into that camera first. Hey everybody, welcome back, Quinelle.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So, what is the topic of the week? Quinelle, you are going to do the topic of the week this week when your check-ins.
Okay.
So this week's topic of the week is, are you traveling? That's a question. Are you traveling? Do you travel? Do you like to travel? Are you scared to travel? Are you traveling? So, for Quinelle's check-in, I thought you told me not to use the psychiatric.
Yes.
You told me to use health and wellness.
Mental health and wellness.
Right. So, the mental health and wellness
Yes.
component connected to traveling and the importance of traveling.
Yes.
So, I started by doing my research and said that traveling is not only visiting a new place or seeing new spots you've never seen before. It also gives a chance to know other people's cultures and history. It gives you the chance to accept the other cultures and traditions and gives you the ability to adapt to the circumstances you live in this city with those people. No, I think that meant the circumstances you live in that city with those people. I think that's what it meant to say. But I know what I found interesting about that was I recently just started traveling. It's been a new, phase for me, something I've always wanted to do, but not really took the time to do it, but love meeting new people and new cultures. So in this next chapter of my life, when I met Melissa, it was interesting how when we first started this show, we was talking about doing these healing retreats together. But people didn't really know me for healing retreats. They didn't know me for actually even wanting to travel. And I realized the main reason was because I had not yet incorporated that in my life. So when it came to now wanting to have these conversations about the next chapter in my life, I wanted to be able to not only incorporate what was beneficial for myself, but I wanted to incorporate what's beneficial for our audience, because so many people feel like maybe going to, no shade or disrespect, but going to Jersey is a trip for them. And not to say going to Atlantic City is not a trip. However, what are your thoughts as someone who's a younger generation, and I don't stalk her IG, maybe a little. I see your demographics is always traveling. And I feel like we don't travel until we're retired. Even though you see Sharon, she out all the time. She in the Bahamas now. She was in Egypt last week.
Good for her. Oh, Egypt
and she's not retired yet.
Well, good for her. Egypt was the very last trip before the pandemic that got canceled for me. I was waiting it out because I have never been to Africa. I was waiting it out to the very last minute, and I knew that I was playing with fire, and I shouldn't have been, but I was just like, they are going to cancel on me. I'm not canceling the trip. And so I was very, very sad about that. But yeah, I am an big advocate for travel. I am constantly traveling. If you do not follow my personal social media, you can look for it, Quinelle_Hickman. I'm constantly traveling. People who know me, they're asking me, well, where are you going next? I have been traveling since I was a child. Thank goodness my parents didn't have a babysitter. And so I got dragged along on a lot of trips, but also I had some family who lived in South Carolina, North Carolina, so that's how it started. And then I think after a while, my parents just said, instead of dragging the kids places that we want to go, let's just take them somewhere. So I'm thinking all the way back. I know last episode that we were together, you joked about the fact that I'm like 20 years old. So we'll go with that, right? But all the way back to 10 years ago when I was about like 10. So just a sidebar, if anyone is wondering, should they take their children somewhere, are they going to remember it? I think 10 is a really good age. But 10, I went to Florida and Disney World. That's like a big trip. And I think from there, I just used to constantly ask like, Mom, Dad, can we go here? Can we go here? So, I was blessed enough to get the travel bug that young. And then I went away to school. A lot of my friends went away to school. So it also started with me traveling to see them. Just DC. So I went to school upstate in New York, but DC, Maryland, like those places for people who are like, well, if it's not outside of the U.S., then it's not a trip. You have to start somewhere. And so I think that those are absolutely places that you can kind of add to your list of traveling. Somewhere that I have been most recently, actually, in the United States was Sedona, Arizona. And when I say it was not on my radar at all to go, but my friend went for a birthday trip, and I am the friend that's always down to go. And so I went with her and a couple of other friends, and it is the most relaxing, like the most calm, serene place for you to be inside the United States. You get to the airport, you have to drive about an hour or two to get to Sedona, but once you get there, you will be in complete awe. It is nothing but huge red rock. And I think I thought that was just a term, or a saying, but the rock is really, really red. It's like a deep orange. It's beautiful. I think it's just a meditative place. And so this is actually one way that travel can connect to mental health. I have learned so much about myself in travel. I have learned so much about my loved ones in travel. And I'm super, super excited to share some of the things that you all can learn about travel as well. For me, I associate travel with memories and with education. And so some of the things that you were talking about, Kat, in terms of just learning new cultures, that is a big one for me. I am the type of friend or the traveler who I will give you a well-rounded experience. We're going to sightsee. We are going to do all the excursions. We're going to find the animals, go to all the sanctuaries. We will be absolutely on the beach. I also am a foodie. So anybody who knows me and is looking at the camera right now is probably yelling because they're like, she will make you walk for food. I am constantly walking for food or the beach. And then the nightlife is also a big thing for me. So I'm tooting my own horn about how much of a travel buddy I am, and I could probably give you a whole bunch of tips, come to think about it, when you're ready to travel. So Sedona in the United States, and I'm just thinking about the different places that I've been as an adult, and thinking about a well-rounded experience where you can relax, but then you also can have fun and do amazing excursions. If you don't mind a plane ride, and I mean a long plane ride, Thailand is one of the best places I think I've been in a really long time.
Well, it's interesting because when I went to Africa, that was people's hesitation to not wanting to go to Africa
Right.
because of how long the flight is.
Yeah.
But not realizing that Senegal is the first country, so that flight was only 8 hours.
Yeah.
So for my first long flight, it wasn't too bad because they left from the airport at 11:30 midnight. So when I woke up, I was
There.
an hour almost, there.
Good
So
for
that
you.
was good. But the one thing I realized, and I'm so happy you talked about traveling with your children, because up until 3 years ago, I used to use that it was not affordable for me to travel
Right.
with my children.
Right.
And that was one of the unfortunate reasons that I actually ended my marriage, because after 10 years, we hadn't been on vacation, you know, and I was like, you know, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? We definitely did the trips down south, which is
Yeah.
just something black folks do. And I think every culture does. Spanish folks, they go to Puerto Rico and DR.
Right.
We go down south, you know what I'm
south,
saying?
right.
We don't know what white folks do because, I don't know, we go to Ireland, I don't know. But anyway, each culture visits their home or
Right.
their people's home.
Right.
For us, that's the South. So I don't know if that's considered vacationing when that becomes a part of like your routine in life. I definitely think everybody's first vacation is always Disney World.
Yep.
So that's like a staple for most families. So yes, my mother did take me and my two siblings to Disney World. I got a chance to experience that. My children got a chance to experience that. Their grandmother is the one who took them
Oh, that's
to Disney
beautiful.
World by herself.
She said, I'm leaving them. And then she gave you all a vacation or a chance at a
But I was mad because we
break.
wanted to go. But they got a chance to go where their parents
Hadn't.
didn't take them or felt like we couldn't afford to. So
Yeah.
a few years ago, crazily, when the pandemic hit, this was also the year before my daughter's senior year. So she was graduating and they canceled graduation,
she
the
was in that
prom,
class.
all of that.
Oh,
She was
that
in that
sucks.
class.
That sucks.
So for graduation, because the children she grew up with did so well in school, it was also celebrating one of her girlfriends turning 18.
Nice.
So their parents, who was the school teachers for me, because they had they have three children, like me and my husband had 3 kids. And this was not the first time they had been traveling with their children, because they brought their children on this vacation.
Okay.
So this was a vacation. We went to Cancun, Mexico. All inclusive. Never heard of all inclusive. So we went to all inclusive. Me and my daughter, 18 of her, 12 or 13 of her friends with their parents.
That was
and we
beautiful.
went to Mexico for 6 days or something like that.
Nice.
But the trip was affordable. I think we paid like under $2,000 for the both of us.
Absolutely.
And I ate and I drank. You know what I'm saying? Had a great hotel.
Right.
And then, yes, we did the excursions, but it still wasn't as much as in my head was my obstacle for not traveling.
Right.
When I realized that while under $4,000, we could have been doing this all of the lives that my children were growing up.
Yeah.
But I guess they did not like the fact that we weren't traveling, because now
They travel.
they travel.
Of course.
They travel more than me,
Yeah.
actually. But I love that it didn't stifle them or give them the bad thinking that they had to wait to travel. Because for me growing up, my mother took us to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
But we were under 10.
Okay.
So we didn't really enjoy the Bahamas. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, my mother was off. You know what I'm saying? She put us on the beach. It was like deuces. You know what I'm saying? So what was
Yeah.
we supposed to do?
Right.
And then my mother took me to the Virgin Islands when I was 13. But I'm 13.
Yeah, so it's a
I
way
really
different
couldn't do
experience.
anything with her.
Yeah.
All we did was talk about, I can't wait till we grown. But then now we have a strained relationship, so we don't get to do
can't.
anything as grown-ups
Yeah.
yet, you know. But those were my introductions. And the crazy thing is, my mother's a traveler. She just left us behind.
Yeah.
And my mother traveled, I think, everywhere in this world. Every continent she has touched.
Yeah.
But she does the tour groups. You know what I'm saying?
That's a very good way to get into travel. But, I think it's great that your children have now just been like, yeah, I'm leaving. I don't need to find a reason. one of my first
But
trips.
it really is because of their friend group.
Right, but
because they were exposed to people
Yes.
traveling, and then their young friends was like, well, we're going away, and we're doing this, and we're doing this. And now that they have their own money,
Yeah.
and they're all 18 and up, it's
Yeah.
not, my daughter doesn't, I don't get asked permission, can I go on a trip?
No, she's out of the house, right? There's no need to ask a question. And one of the first trips that I went on as an adult, I think, let's say I was like 20, 21, and it was funny because I was an adult, but I was using my mom's timeshare in the Bahamas. But my friends and I went, we probably between us, no lie, probably had about, and I'm talking about 3 20 to 21-year-olds, we probably had about maybe $400. They're probably cracking up laughing between us. But did we have a ball? We had a time because, well, first we're women, and so any of the women who are watching this, young women, you have to think about your safety, but I think that it is a little bit easier. You can be a little bit friendly, and then, people want to look out for you, especially, that's another tidbit. When you leave the United States, people are constantly trying to look out for you. And they want to welcome you. You still have to have your, guards up and think about your safety, but 100% you can travel on a minimal budget. I don't recommend now, as a 20-something-year-old, as we joked about last time, I don't think it was a 10 out of 10. But at that point in time, I had an amazing time, and I would probably do the same thing all over again.
And you did it.
Yeah.
It's funny, before we go to our first PSA, because you see we've been talking. We haven't even gone to a PSA, those who pay the bills. But it's funny because now we're getting ready to go to DR.
Yeah.
And my son just went to DR, my middle son, last year.
Yeah.
So I asked him what hotel, because I'm Googling the reviews for the hotel we're thinking about.
Right.
And he was like, yo, we stayed at my man's, and then we stayed at a hostel. I am dying to stay at a hostel, even though I don't think a hostel would be good for me and my boo.
I am not a hostel.
No, like I'm a luxury girl. I am, but just to experience
No,
a
ma'am.
hostel. Oh, she said no,
Absolutely
ma'am.
not. Absolutely not. No, I travel for the food. The most that I am going to get into the community is I want the community food, right? I want the local town food. I want the local beach, maybe, local drinks.
But that's it.
The hostel is not a part of my ministry. That will not be me. And people who are really into zodiac signs, they say that Taurus, we're both Taurus,
Yes.
but they say that Tauruses love luxury and beauty
Yes.
and all things art. I think I truly, truly fit that description. But I don't knock you if you wanted to go to a hostel. That is actually a very affordable way to travel.
So that's the thing. That's the thing. I know I like luxury, and so does my beau. So a hostel won't work for us, but I just love the idea that you can take a backpack, $400, and do a hostel and experience what it looks like to do another country. Let's go to our first PSA of the evening.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
So we're back, and I know it might seem like Quinelle is doing the majority of the talking. Well, because I really want her to shine. This is Quinelle's check-in, and I noticed you guys did not give a whole lot of questions to her, knowing she was going to come back. So we're just going to give her this full 30 minutes to talk about her expertise as a traveler and her advice as a mental health and wellness coach on the benefits, not just how to travel, but why is it important? Because again, you talked about families, you talked about girls' trips, but you ain't talk about no couples or even solo trips. Like, self-care is beautiful, seeing new cultures is beautiful, eating is awesome, but I can do that here in New York. I can find a beach. I could go to a restaurant by myself. Why do I need to spend money, get on a plane, or even get on a train and go somewhere? Why is that beneficial to my self-care? How does that help me with my boo?
Yeah, so I want to just go back to something really quick in terms of the credentials, because I think things get turned around. So as a licensed therapist who sees individuals and couples, I like to talk about things from different perspectives. And I think that, you know, as when I talk to individuals about a lot of their stress, right? Because at Counseling to Comfort, that is what we specialize in. Stress, also depression and anxiety, and couples issues. A big one being couples communication. So we're gonna tie all of that into travel. But going back to just working on your stress personally, you know, when you travel and when you think about also the pandemic, which we talked about a little bit earlier, we are just coming off of 3 years of sitting in the same space, being in the same area now, right? Maybe you could walk down the block at the height of the pandemic, but now maybe you can only, especially if you weren't a traveler before, but you're just thinking about it just a little bit now, maybe you only have the funds to go a few places in the States. But it's important to make sure that you go to those places, because when you travel, what you're doing is you are awakening all 5 of your senses. Think about touch, think about taste, think about food, well, taste is food, think about hearing, think about smells, and think about, what's the last one? Touch, taste, smelling, hearing, right? And so think about anything that you have done for the very first time and how you literally get absorbed in that experience. The best way, if you wanted to imagine something, if you can't think about the last time that you've done something new, think about a child that you've seen recently. When they do something new, they really take their time and they pretty much observe things from this curious mindset, right? Not this mindset of, oh, I've done this a million times. I know what that's like. I know what's going to happen next. And I think if you stay where you're from, if you stay in the house, that is the mindset that you approach things with. And I could talk to you about, you know, approaching every day from this curious mindset, but it may not really feel doable for you. But when you travel, it happens without you really thinking about it. And so just think about getting on a train, think about getting on a plane, think about how you might just be looking around, looking at all the different people. Think about or imagine now you getting off of the plane, getting off of the train, any mode of transportation that you have taken, and now you are in a completely different space. What is one of the first things that you're going to look for? You're likely going to look at your surroundings and where you are. You're likely going to look for the people and what they look like. You are likely going to pay attention to the smells. You are likely going to pay attention to what you hear. And you are likely going to pay attention to how the air feels on your skin, right? So all these things are going to be awakened for you. And a lot of times when I am talking to people on a daily basis in therapy rooms, or just outside, just in conversation, because I've been practicing for so long, what I'm talking about is really this idea of mindfulness. And I'm not sure if you all have heard about that, but mindfulness is this idea where you do one thing at a time and you put all of your focus and your attention into that one thing on purpose. And as you are putting your attention and your focus on that, you're really just observing. The goal is to observe, see what you notice from a curiosity standpoint, and do that without judgment, right? So sometimes when we are in the same space, we might hear a sound, especially I know now we're in New York City, and being in my apartment building, And working virtually, sometimes I'm in the middle of a session and I hear music being blasted down the street, right? But now I'm in the space where, okay, if I'm hearing that over and over, I might get irritated. But if I have just gotten off of a plane, if I've just gotten off of the train or in the car and I hear loud music, maybe that excites me today because I'm in a brand new space. I've broken up the monotony of my routine. And going back to mindfulness, I'm doing that. I'm observing that. I'm noticing all those things without judgment. And so going back also to that conversation of awakening all your senses, when we are in the same spaces, we tend to think about things that have everything to do with our routine. So our jobs, how much workload we have to take care of, what do we have to do at your job at home, actually, if you're a wife, a mom, if you are a partner, all of those roles come with responsibilities, right? And so sometimes you can find yourself doing one thing, but you're somewhere else mentally. You're thinking about, okay, what's the next thing that I need to do? And that can a lot of times just have you in a space of frustration. It can have you in a space of sadness too, and really just feeling overwhelmed. Just thinking about also a lot of people that I've spoken to. In the height of the pandemic, this was major. I don't think that it has stopped. I think that people, especially while we've been talking about mental health and wellness, I think people have just made different decisions now and just said, I'm taking a break from work. But thinking about work and how much of an overload it can be sometimes, especially, it's hard for me to talk about this without talking about the pandemic because we were on lockdown for so long. But people were thinking about their mental health and their wellness, and they were saying, I'm leaving this job. It's too much for me. It was such a high turnover rate, then that meant that whoever couldn't afford to leave or who just wasn't ready to leave, they now had to take on all of that work that had been turned over to them, right? And so think about now you don't have any place to go, but maybe like you're walking down the block, that's all you have. And you're just irritated, right? So now that the world has opened back up, if your question is, why do I get on the plane, a train? Why do I get on a cruise? Then those are part of the reasons. And paying attention to things for the first time can give you a sense of calm and relaxation. You can use all of your 5 senses. That can also be a sense of calm for you, but it also can be exciting and rejuvenated, and you come back to work or you come back home and you feel absolutely refreshed. Something else that I'm thinking about.
Before you go to that something else, before you go to that something else, I love the fact that you've been emphasizing the importance for oneself.
Yeah.
When the couples come to you, is it something that you then interject that maybe as a suggestion, have you guys gone away? Like, what are the benefits for couples going away? If your couple is the one who you live with, you know what I'm saying, and they're a part of that routine, of that mundane every day, then do you really want to go away with them?
Yeah, so I am a strong advocate for travel by yourself, with your friends, and especially with your partner. It does not matter how long you have been with your partner, you are constantly learning something new. And going back to this, I guess this merges also with learning about yourself. Every time people travel, they get what I like to call a travel persona, right? That travel persona is really, let's think of like an alter ego. Somebody that you are not when you are at your home, right? So let's say when you're home, you are a person that likes to have everything planned out. You know what people are eating for dinner from Monday to Friday. You know what all the kids are doing. You have all of that scheduled. If you are that person, you may get on vacation and just say, whatever. Don't ask me any questions. I don't care, right? With your partner, especially if you're thinking about a long-term relationship and you are in a new relationship, you need to take your partner. You need to go with your partner to a different place, because if you're thinking about long-term, this is now you saying, what does my partner look like in different settings?
I'm going to attest to that because 4 months into the current relationship I'm in, we went away.
Yeah.
And I never went on vacation with a man before. So that was new and exciting.
Okay, come on.
I know, come on, 40 something. But then to go on vacation so soon after meeting someone.
Yeah.
But it worked out. Like we went on a 6-day trip together, and it was one of the best times that I've had and that he's expressed that he's had. But it really was like, in the whole time we only had one glimpse. And that for us, when we came back, was one of the reasons what made us stay together. Because it was like, well, we could even go away,
Right.
not even know each other for real, and
Right.
have a great time when only one thing came and we right away fixed that up. So
Yeah.
it worked in how we also learned how to deal with each other when we got back.
Yeah.
You know, let's check out our second PSA for the evening.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
So I feel like we're giving them so much information. I think if they want more, they should contact you.
Okay.
So tell them again, what are the benefits, and then how should they learn more about themselves when it comes to traveling by contacting you, especially because nowadays they don't have to call you if they're in New York. Virtually, they can be a client of yours. So.
Yeah, so virtually, if you were in New Jersey, that's where I'm licensed as well. So New York and New Jersey, virtually, you can contact me at www.counselingtocomfort.com. And if you are on Instagram, you can follow me at counselingtocomfort_PLLC.
Okay. Before we leave, I want you to do the Jesus moment with us.
Okay.
Okay. Because the Jesus moment, oh, haven't quite figured it out, but I'm gonna get it, you know. For me, like I said, I realized the importance because I felt like it was the over for the under, the okie doke, almost thinking that it was unaffordable. So I love the fact that now I'm aware of inclusive
Right.
trips
Right.
that I can afford, under $1,000,
Yes,
$2,000.
there are so many trips like that.
I just became a part of a company called Passionate Travel, so I'm really excited with them. And they work with Gateway One, Priceline. They work with
Nice.
everybody, so that's gonna work. But I know that when I've gone to the Virgin Islands, okay, I feel like all the Caribbean countries are the same, beach and sun. But when I went to Africa and saw, I felt like home,
Yeah.
but felt like there wasn't this myth that I had of everyone living in huts. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like it took out the what the world wants you to think about this country, and it allowed me to have my own point of view. And I think that's the beauty in my Jesus moment in traveling. It allows you to have your own perception
Yeah.
of a country and not an illusion of what the masses or the matrix wants you to think about a country. Because I even heard Vietnam is beautiful. I'm thinking about going there.
Yeah.
What's your Jesus moment?
I think, just making sure that you pay attention to yourself and check in with yourself. And when you need a moment to take a break, do that. Give yourself that, and don't be afraid to travel outside, even if it's by yourself. And I mean, like outside of the United States, don't be afraid to travel. You can do your research. Cruises are also another, affordable way to travel. And so just don't count yourself out. Just make sure that you check in with yourself. If you need a break, take a break, and don't be afraid to travel.
I like that. And if they want to check in with you.
Yeah. You can follow me personally and look at all of my travel excursions at Quinelle_Hickman. And if you would like therapy, you want to talk about getting over some of your anxieties or worries or stresses, you can reach out to www.counselingtocomfort.com.
I like that title, Counseling to Comfort. How'd you come up with that?
Because that is truly what I aspire to do. I think that in therapy, you have to feel comfortable. It's the space. And so that's what I'm here to do, bring you all some comfort.
Before we end, I saw that you prepared and have notes. Did you mention everything you wanted to say in your notes?
No.
What is something you're going to leave our audience with that's in your notes? Can you summarize?
Yes.
Okay. You have the floor.
All right. So in terms of making sure that you are learning about yourself when you travel, I want you to make sure that you are figuring out what it is that excites you the most, what makes you feel like you have felt refreshed, right? Not just going out for other reasons that people tell you to travel, because something that somebody else loves might not be the thing that you love. And a part of traveling is self-discovery, not just discovery about the place, right? So pay attention to self. Again, when you need to take a break, take that break, but make sure that part of that break is, what do I love? Not what my partner loves, not what my friend, my family, what do I love? Because when I learn about myself, then I have more to really give to other people.
And that's a good point, because you're also learning about yourself. Because I know right now, next year, I'm turning 50.
Hey.
Yes. And me and my bestie are planning on traveling next year for our 50th. I turned 50 in the early part of the year. She turns 50 at the end part of the year. So we're thinking about doing 3 trips.
Nice.
One for mine, one for hers, and then in the summer for the middle. Now, she's not adventurous. I am. She's not walking anywhere.
Oh, you have to leave her. I'm sorry.
No, this is what I'm talking about. You have to figure out what both people like to do,
Absolutely.
even in planning the trip.
Absolutely.
So we both know I'm adventurous, she's not.
Yes.
We're not big shoppers. We are, but not for real. We're not trying to go to the club or the bar. I got my own dude. She ain't trying to get a dude. So that's the other thing. But we both like to eat. We both. So we're gonna do food and wine tours.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So we're thinking about like Aspen and even maybe Long Island. But that's what we're thinking about doing, because we both because we both realize what we both like.
Yes.
What we both don't like.
Correct.
Because when you're planning a trip with someone, it can't totally be about what you want.
Right.
You have to be able to incorporate, but knowing who you're traveling with
is important.
also helps. Because I went to Puerto Rico. Now, my girlfriend, she may not watch this, but I went to Puerto Rico with a girlfriend of mine. Well, we doing that shit again. You know what I'm saying? Because we just vibe different.
But that's what I mean by, you can go on a trip with someone, but you might have to leave them for a portion of it. Yeah.
Yes. So, yes. Oh my goodness, this was awesome. I'm so appreciative that Quinelle came back for Quinelle's Check-ins and talked to us today about the importance of traveling and asking the question, are you traveling and why not?
Yeah.
So continue to follow all of us on all of our social medias. And yeah, we're gonna take a little break for the summer, so Quinelle will be joining us back in August. So you have enough time to inbox us in our Facebook group, ask us some questions, and prepare for her next taping with us back in August. But if you need counseling to comfort,
Yes.
you can contact Quinelle in all of her social media postings, platforms.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you. How do you feel? Second episode down.
That was good.
Okay.
That was great.
We're going to go to our last PSA of the night and then come back with little old me. See you in a moment.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how's sketches? Ready? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes. Look at that. You didn't turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
What a disaster.
You're a disaster.
This is a disaster.
You can't be ready for every little disaster, but you can prepare for a big one. Make an emergency plan today.
Welcome back to the next chapter where we discuss shades of gray. Wow, that was a great second episode of Quinelle's Check-In, don't you think? Let's give her another round of applause. Thank you. We have to get knowledge from all sorts of people. And I think a lot of times older folks are hesitant to taking advice or taking thoughts from people who are younger than us. So I'm so appreciative that not only is our audience loving Quinelle's Check-In, but that she is giving us advice or counseling that doesn't seem too far from something we're able to do. And I want to also shout out to 920 out here in the Bronx, because that is our family that supports both myself and Quinelle. And they saw our first show together, and they were very pleased with the outcome of both of our connections and chemistry together. So I am grateful that, again, I miss Melissa, but there is something about having this component of mental wellness, that check-in that I want to be able to still give to you guys. So Quinelle's Check-In, you can catch her coming back in August. You can catch her all summer. I am going to rebroadcast and repeat both episodes, but you can also check her out on her own social media platforms. And I always promote my therapist, which is Dion out in Yonkers. But because we have such great encouragement from young Quinelle, check her out and see what she has to offer you. I don't know about her prices, but can we actually put a price on our mental health and our mental wellness? I'm not sure. It's the same thing about the topic of the week. The topic of the week, let me just remind you guys, the question I posed was, are you traveling? Are you traveling? Are you making the effort to get outside of your comfort zone to see the world and learn about the world, but also learn about yourself? Learn about yourself in a different environment. See how you are tested when it comes to traveling by yourself, traveling with your girlfriends, traveling with your family, and traveling with a loved one. Last year, when I got the opportunity to go to Africa, it was beautiful because I was with like-minded folks. When I got the opportunity to go to Mexico, it was cool because I was with my daughter. I was with other parents that I got a chance to get to know on a different level. And even that was interesting to see how cultures travel differently. I traveled with a bunch of white folks in Spanish. The way they travel with their kids is different from the way I think black folks travel with their kids. But I don't know because that was my first experience. Traveling by myself. When I went to Cali last year, when I went to DC last year, by myself, there was something about, and it makes me tear up, it was something about the moment of the traveling by myself that kind of almost felt adult-like, if that makes sense, because I was by myself. So I had to be responsible for how I wanted to sit, where I wanted to sit, what I did at the airport, what I engaged in, who I talked to, what I ate. It was all my decision making. And that was an interesting place to be in and do while I was traveling, meeting people in these destinations like DC and California. But what I noticed that was kind of weird, that one, I was traveling through the pandemic, but two, I was traveling with not a whole lot of money. And three, not only was I traveling through the pandemic, but I was traveling on my savings. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any income coming in. But there was something about once I went to Mexico and saw how I can travel affordably, I took that those blinders off and said that as long as I think you're a good person, you could probably go anywhere in the world with a couple of dollars, because there's always people everywhere you're at that will open up their homes to you. Just like Quinelle was mentioning, it's interesting how much people will look out for you outside of your own city. Not that New York won't take care of you. So if you visit New York, we will still love on you. But it was interesting for New Yorkers to go outside and experience love and responsibility. I think people feel responsible for you when you're visiting their country. They feel responsible to show you what's hot. They love to show you what's not on the tourist map. That's another thing I love about traveling, and I'm going to love about traveling, is getting outside of what's on the Google Maps of activities, but getting to the heart of a country for real, going to the hood of a country. I can't wait to do that. I probably won't be doing that with my beau, since he wants the luxury of traveling, which is cool. I might have to do these trips by myself, or find me one of these, girlfriends or male friends that want to do that rough kind of traveling. Let's go to another PSA, and I'll come back and talk about this some more.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
A lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. I can't lie and say it was easy. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
So I technically was going to do this show with a special guest host, sister I met actually 2021 November. I was at the Harlem Tourism Board mixer. I told you guys about this, and she was actually involved with Tony Rogers initially when it came to him wanting to start his tour company. So I was going to have today Victoria Folk join us. Victoria Folk is the CEO of, what is it? I want to be able to say it correctly. Passionate Travel Incorporated. So yes, technically I was supposed to have this show today with Miss Victoria, but New York City travel can be a so I'm going to talk to you about what we were going to talk about together in our Spotlight segment. And the Spotlight segment this week was talking about the business of travel. The business of travel. Now, yes, traveling is key to one's self-care in exploring the world and things even about yourself you did not know. Because in traveling, you have that downtime, that relaxation time, where you actually get to spend some time with yourself and get to know who? Yourself, or the person you're traveling with, or your children on a different way. Whomever you're with, that downtime allows for relaxation and getting to know people. But nowadays, honey, I talked to you guys last week about having different revenue streams and having different revenue streams within what you're doing. Right now, I want to travel, but I'm still a healer. I'm still want to incorporate, how do I connect spirituality to travel? Well, in my exploration, I connect my spirituality because I will begin to see the beauty of God in my travels, but I also get to see how I can make a living connected to traveling. Now, I don't want to give too many details because I'm new and I'm fresh, like I'm fresh new. So I really don't know the details of what the benefits are with this company that Victoria works with called Passionate Travel Incorporated. What I do know is that she has been self-employed with this company for over 10 years. So when she started doing this company, she was still working her 9-to-5, 3 years before she totally stopped working a 9-to-5 and dedicated all of her time and energy into her travel business. When I went to Africa with Tony, his company is Art World Travels, and he was encouraging me the whole time, in addition to becoming a Harlem Tourism Board member, to get my certification with Victoria to start my traveling life. When I was trying to put together the trip last year to go back to Africa on my own, underneath my own brand, and take a bunch of folks there on this spiritual healing retreat, what I noticed was people know me from selling earrings. People know me from producing events. People know me from doing community activism work. People know me from now even doing television. But people didn't know me for traveling. So spending $3,000, $4,000 with me and not knowing that part of me, I think was a hesitation to people actually paying, not signing up. So I decided that over the course of time, when it fit my schedule, that I would learn the business and show you guys the journey of me learning the business so that you can become more comfortable when I decide to put my first healing retreat together. But in the interim, what I wanted to do is Victoria and I decided to come to you guys and bring to you a weekly event called Tuesdays Tastings. Tuesdays Tastings. What's that gonna be? Tuesdays Tasting is going to be an opportunity where we as a group decide different places we wanna go, right, to visit country-wise. But before going to that country, we're gonna check out a local restaurant here in New York or Jersey or even Philly and check out the food of that culture, that country, that continent, and let that be like a little social get to know each other before actually going on vacation with each other. I like that idea. What about you guys? So yeah, we're gonna call it Tuesdays Tastings, and the first one is going to be coming up right here in the city, right after Memorial Weekend. We're going to be at Gypsy Rose. Gypsy Rose, my brother is an African, but it's an American cuisine, and we're gonna do some tastings of the food that represents different cuisines from different countries and allow that to be our introduction for our summer series of Tuesdays Tastings. I'm excited about that. I hope you guys are as well. Also coming up, June 1st is going to be a taste of Harlem. So I'm gonna show you guys a video. And that video actually introduces what Marcus Samuelson and Melba is doing in Harlem when it comes to Harlem Meetup. But there's all these different food festivals going around. So even though Harlem Meetup started 3 years ago, Taste of Harlem is a concept of introducing local restaurants in Harlem in the Washington Heights area. So the Women's Chamber of Commerce is hosting this event June 1st up at, I wanna say, Community City College, like I said, in Washington Heights, on June 1st. And the event is called Taste of Harlem. Your girl will be doing all the behind the scenes and social media. But that's something that I'm excited about. So I'm gonna show you guys a taste of Harlem, but I also want you to come to Tuesday's tasting. The first one being at Gypsy Rose over on 26 between 7th and 6th, Midtown Manhattan. And then follow us by joining my Facebook group page at The Next Chapter, where you can see what restaurants we're gonna go to. You can bring up some restaurants, choose some restaurants, bring up some cultures, bring up some countries we wanna visit. Like I wanna go to Greece. Let's find a Greek restaurant. I wanna go to Italy. Let's find an Italian restaurant. There are ways, you see how that works? Africa has different types of countries. Let's go to an Ethiopian restaurant. Let's go to a Senegalese restaurant. You catching how this works? Great. So don't forget, it's Tuesday's tastings. In order to find out what restaurant we're going to, join our Facebook group page and yeah, make some suggestions. Have some cocktails, discuss what countries we want to visit, and make arrangements to go to the restaurants and taste some samples of the food from that country. So to show the link about our company to get like a little heads up, go to Partner With Us Today. That's www.partnerwithus.today. Passionate Travel is an award-winning online home-based travel-based business right here in New York. In addition to booking all types of travel, we offer an online, home-based business travel opportunity through our affiliations with a direct sales company called Surge 365. Today, they have 30-plus countries and growing that they're affiliated with. We are currently licensed to receive new business partners, that means you, in 30-plus countries, and it's still growing. As a Surge 365 business associate, I can offer you some little travel perks. But again, since I'm so new, check out Victoria Folk's web presence by going to her website and signing up, or just going and finding out some things about what we do or what's capable. Partner with us today. So you know, this part of the show as we end and conclude is follow, like, and share. Follow, like, and share. Oh, wow. We know how to make a show even when things happen to distract us. We know how to still get by because I have an awesome team here at BronxNet. I thank my production team for always finding out ways for us to have a great and successful show. Enjoy Memorial Weekend. Enjoy the beginning parts of summer. I'm taking just a little time off, but I will be back in August, just in time to promote I Am You. Once again, everyone, this is The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. I am your host, Minister Cat, a.k.a. Kitty Rose. And until next time, I will see you all in the Matrix. Continue to be safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone. Mwah.
Sharp pains and bellies, all days be heavy when you're programmed to survive. Legendary ciphers get the MCs in the jobs. The city never sleeps, slept from 1 to 5 when COVID hit the block and we had to stay inside. Tough love is all I know, so be gentle with my soul. Learn to navigate winters with no coat. If you never been cold, you never been broke. Hustle 24/7 just to stay afloat. So New York, like dollar pizza in the cold. What shit? That real life grit from the heart of the city is as hard as it gets. This that New York shit. That real life grit from the heart of the city is as hard as it gets. This that New York shit. That real life grit from the heart of the city is as hard as it gets. that New York shit, that real life grit from the heart of the city is as hard as it gets.